What is up, guys, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we have Nuke Step 5 with an oldie but a goodie. Top 5 ESP, psychic, and telekinesis sightings caught on camera and in real life. Now, as always, thank you for clicking on this video, thank you for watching, and thank you for getting scared with me. Now, let's get into this reaction. Let's go. Uploaded 2 years ago, but I haven't seen it.
The most compelling proof of ESP, psychic powers, and telekinesis.
Caught on
Before I
camera.
even start this video, let me emphasize that these are some of the most compelling videos that support the possibility of ESP or psychic powers.
Okay.
The videos here are presented as they were by the original eyewitness reports. In most cases, these stories were televised by major news outlets. But of course, it's up to you to decide what you believe.
Absolutely.
Specters and visions.
Okay.
Beginning in the 1960s, a woman named Stella Lansing claimed that she began to see strange lights in the sky and had odd visions that no one else seemed to see.
Aliens?
In an attempt to prove that what she was seeing was real, Stella began to take photographs of her experiences.
Okay.
In one picture, a severed arm can be seen floating over a woman's head. This self-portrait taken by Stella Lansing shows bizarre lesions forming on her face. Despite trying many different types of cameras, the results were always the same.
Okay,
Unusual,
that's interesting.
often ghastly images appeared in the photos. In the late 1960s, Stella acquired an 8mm film camera and began to record her sightings in live motion. That's when things became even more bizarre. Single frames of Stella's film contained a group of men who seemed to be lurking in the shadows all around her. Paranormal investigators later began to refer to these men as, quote, the occupants.
The occupants.
Film investigators checked Stella's footage, but no one was able to explain how the images got on the film, especially not how they could have been put there by Stella. After all, Stella Lansing was a middle-aged housewife with no experience in photography or photo developing.
Okay.
Keeping in mind that
Maybe
this
someone
was
did it
before
for
the
her,
age of
but-
home computers, it would have required an expert production team to even attempt faking the images on the film.
Okay.
And here's where
Okay.
things get truly creepy. Stella's footage was shot on silent 8mm film. However, when experts transferred the silent film over to videotape to analyze, suddenly strange unexplained voices appeared on their tapes.
What the heck?
Stella Lansing passed away in
Wow.
2012. Her photographs and films have never been explained. Previous life.
That
When
is
little Luke
so
Roman
weird.
was only 2 years old, he began to talk about a woman named Pam, even though no members of his family or their friends had that name. He would call many of his toys Pam, and even sometimes refer to himself as Pam. As his ability to communicate grew, his seeming obsession with this imaginary person named Pam also began to grow.
Okay.
One day his mom decided to ask him directly just who Pam was.
I've heard of
I was like,
imaginary
"Who,
friends,
Pam?"
but
You know, out of frustration. And that's when he turned to me and looked at me and said, well, I was. And I was like, what do you mean you were? And he was like, well, I used to be, but I died and I went up to heaven. I saw God. And then eventually God pushed me back down. And when I woke up, I was a baby and you named me Luke.
Luke described that he had actually
Damn,
been
okay.
Pam in a previous life. According to Luke, Pam
That's
was
so
a woman
interesting.
who had lived in Chicago who had died. He said Pam had jumped from a window to escape an out-of-control apartment fire. Luke
okay.
was also able to describe bizarrely accurate details of the woman's life in Chicago, even though he had never been there before. Luke's mom decided to do some research. Turns out there was in fact a woman in her 30s named Pam Robinson who had died in a fire in Chicago in 1993. Pam Robinson perished
This
under the exact
can't be a
circumstances
coincidence.
that Luke had described. When young Luke was shown a series of photographs of random women, he immediately picked Pam Robinson out of the group and said that he, quote, remembered the picture.
Okay. Like reincarnation or something.
The television show Ring
That
of
is
Fire, an
interesting.
Indonesian Odyssey.
I would love to know
is a
more.
series of documentaries about the islands of Indonesia, funded by the BBC. The documentary series began in 1972 and lasted over 2 decades. During filming, one of the documentarians got a severe eye infection while passing through the Lampung province of Indonesia.
Okay,
The native
okay.
people referred the film crew to a mysterious local healer, a man they claimed had great healing power. This healer initially refused to appear on camera and did not want his name revealed, saying that
Why?
it went against the ways of his sect and their teachings. The documentarians eventually coaxed him into appearing on camera, but promised they would not give his name, referring to him only under the assumed name of DJ. DJ claimed to be able to harness his chi, or life force energy, and then direct it into his patients to deliver healing transfers of energy, sometimes through acupuncture needles, and sometimes just through touch alone.
Yo,
The
okay.
documentarians were doubtful, until one of them experienced the treatment firsthand.
It was nothing like any acupuncture I'd ever had. I was getting really powerful electric shocks and couldn't control my movements at all.
Like you can touch me, like this. It's nothing, okay? It's my burn. Just like this.
For our sound
Yo,
recorders,
okay.
it was also a shocker.
He's got superpowers. Don't tell me
He
he's
then took
gonna
our
start a
newspaper
fire.
outside and showed us how chi can also be used to set things on fire.
No way. Oh my god.
The documentary filmmakers returned later with a panel of experts to perform tests on the man known only as DJ, using metal detectors and even electric voltmeters to examine him, trying to determine if he was using some hidden means to induce electric current. But their
He turned
instruments and
into
voltmeters showed no
some
readings of
subject or
electrical
something.
energy, despite the fact that they could feel shocks while touching him during the test.
Maybe that's the reason
Even
why
though
he
the
didn't
tests
want
were
anyone
going
to
well,
know, so
suddenly one morning
it
DJ
doesn't
refused
become
to
a test
participate
subject.
any further in the filming. He claimed that his long-dead master had appeared to him in a dream, furious with him for betraying the rules of his sect and showing off in public and in front of cameras. The documentarians reluctantly agreed to leave and never contact DJ again.
Wow.
Telekinesis.
Damn, that is so interesting. That is a miracle. That man is a miracle.
Kulagina claimed to have the psychic gift of telekinesis. She said that she could move small objects over short distances using only her mind.
Okay.
Many believe that the claims were simply Cold War propaganda by the Russian government. Basically, a fake news piece produced in an attempt to scare the world into believing that Russia somehow had citizens with superhuman abilities. Over 40 international scientists were brought in to study Ninel Kulagina under controlled conditions.
Okay.
They were amazed as Ninel seemed to be able to move small objects solely with her mind. Clear glass
But if she
boxes
trains
were placed
it, though,
over the objects
and
to eliminate
controls
the
it.
ability for Kulagina to use magnets or even blow on the objects with her breath. But she was still able to perform her amazing feats. During the
Wow.
study, Kulagina's heart rate and brainwaves spiked erratically, and she complained of headaches. But nevertheless, she completed the tests. The scientific team investigating claimed that they could find no logical explanation for what Ninel Kulagina could do.
Maybe she was like in the starting phase, like the beginner's
Remote
phase.
viewing.
Imagine what you can
It's
do
called
when you
remote
train
viewing.
that.
And one of the world's finest exponents who's worked for people
Paul
at
McKenna,
NASA is sitting right
I
over
think
here,
I've
Joe
seen him
McMoneagle.
before.
In the 1990s, a man named Joe McMoneagle claimed to have an amazing psychic ability.
Okay.
Remote viewing.
Remote
viewers
viewing.
claim that they are able to see psychic glimpses through another person's eyes, even if the psychic has never met the person, even if that person is thousands of miles away, and some claim even if the person is in the past or the future. In 1997, Joe McMoneagle was tested by the BBC television show Paul McKenna's Paranormal World. He attempted to view what was being seen by a man that he'd never met, standing somewhere in London where he'd never been.
Okay.
Amazingly, Joe was somehow able to perceive that the man was looking at a railway bridge over the River Thames.
I want to mix half circles with straight lines. My sense of it is some kind of a raised object, perhaps.
Yo, half circles?
Starting
He
to
got
look
that
like a
right.
bridge, but I don't want to call it a bridge.
Okay.
I don't want to call it a bridge yet. Looks a lot like a bridge, but I don't know if this is a walkway or if this is actually a waterway.
A waterway,
Water
okay.
As well.
Yo, this man has got the sight.
The moment of truth.
Water, you've got water certainly. Up here. Now I tell you what is very interesting, because I know the bridge. And I was very much aware of trains passing over it.
Yeah.
So I must confess it is quite possible. I'm not trying to stretch it too.
I kept getting a great throughway with some kind of the arches or something at the end.
But the story of Joe McMoneagle
Okay, so
gets
he
even
sees it,
stranger,
but
because
maybe
Joe
like
soon began giving speeches
20%.
at various UFO conferences.
More than
In
most
his
people.
speeches, he made the wild claim that in the late 1980s, he had been enlisted by the CIA into a secret classified project. The goal of the project was to attempt remote spying on enemies of the United States.
Wow.
But it gets even crazier than that, because Joe McMoneagle claimed that at one point the CIA gave him a sealed envelope containing a set of coordinates and a date. They then asked him, without him knowing the coordinates or date in the envelope, to tell them what he saw.
Okay.
What Joe didn't know was that the location and time that the CIA had given him were set up to intentionally discredit him. The coordinates led to a random spot on the surface of the planet Mars, and the time, millions of years ago.
Millions of years ago.
It was basically the CIA's attempt to prove once and for all that psychic remote viewing was a fraud.
Okay,
They fully
okay.
expected Joe to start reciting standard earthly views, locations, and people, thereby proving that remote viewing was a scam. Instead,
But
to
then-
their surprise, Joe began to say that he was seeing things that he couldn't comprehend. He said he saw giant alien beings who claimed to be dying, and odd buildings that looked like space-age pyramids. The experiment ended with Joe still claiming to see strange creatures and structures on an unusual landscape.
Yo.
Now, all that sounds like the whole thing has to be completely made up, right?
Yeah.
Well, on
Sounds
August
like
8th,
it, but
2000, there was an actual document released by the CIA confirming everything that Joe McMoneagle had claimed.
really?
The document still exists on the CIA's official website. It's linked in the video description
Wow.
down below. So is this just an extremely bizarre joke by the CIA? Or did Joe McMoneagle actually psychically view strange beings on the surface of Mars millions of years ago? Look at the evidence, check out the document, and let me know what you think down in the comments.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Imagine if, like, that's real, you know? He's got all the things right. He got hired by the FBI. Then he gets coordinates to Mars. And then he sees aliens and stuff. That is crazy. That is crazy. Damn. Okay. That was it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, then hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. And turn on your post notifications to not miss any single upload. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.